I'm sorry. Hey guys, you're watching That Tattoo Chick. Sorry it's kind of like dark and dreary in here, but it's kind of getting a little bit chilly outside, so I decided to come inside and do this video. And anyway, so yeah, this is over part 1, question 1 of the Malleus Maleficarum. And basically what the question is it so important to Catholicism to believe in witchcraft that if you don't believe in witchcraft is a heresy? So that's the question. And to support this question, Kramer did present some arguments, such as, that witches cannot affect the institutions of marriage and baptisms and stuff like that because they're God's institutions and God alone can interfere with God's institutions. It also goes on to say that all illnesses and all states of illness and health are naturally occurring, and that of these natural causes for sickness and health, the stars play a pivotal role in that. And it also goes on to say that that basically what it's saying is that witchcraft isn't real. It's saying that only God can produce real and permanent change in the world. Therefore, people who believe themselves to be witches or people who believe they've been bewitched are delusional, and it's all in their heads. They're imagining all of it. And also that that God alone can change one thing into another state. That God alone has this power. Witches cannot turn people into frogs and stuff like that is basically what it's saying. So, to Kramer's credit, he does address all of those arguments and presents them. But he refutes them by saying, basically, that witches are real, because it says in the Bible that they're real. He also goes on to support his argument by saying that the Bible, God would not issue such a harsh punishment as death if witches didn't produce real changes in the world. He also goes on to say that since demons are fallen angels, they have control over certain things in the material world, in the mundane world. So basically, he's saying that he's pretty much refuting all of those before mentioned arguments. That witches can interfere with institutions of marriage and baptism because they can cause men not to be able to copulate and consummate their marriages, and things of that nature. So basically what he's saying is that, yes, witches are real. If witches weren't real, we wouldn't have to put them to death. If it was all in people's heads, then, surely the punishment wouldn't be this harsh, surely God wouldn't issue them to death, And so that's basically the gist of it. And he goes on to say that, and establish his viewpoint. He goes on to talk about some of the things that witches do. And he goes on to say that there are different kinds of witches, but not the kind that you or I know. When we think of different kinds of witches, we think of, there's Dianic witches, and there's Gardnerian, and there's Alexandrian. Well, he's not talking about that. He actually mentions pythons as a form of witch, not the snake, but it's actually what he identifies as a python is a woman that the devil actually possesses and uses her as kind of a vessel to do his work. So basically he possesses her body and goes off and does evil stuff in her body. So that's basically what a python is according to Kramer. And he goes on to say that he'll discuss those other kinds of witches later. He also goes on to establish that the sexual deviancies of witches. So even in the very beginning of the book, he's already showing his sexual hang-ups. He's already establishing this kind of aggressive sexism to the point where it's quite clear that he hates women. So so there are interesting parts of this part of the book. He goes on to say that witches can do great evil with the smallest of acts, with a look, that they can throw rotten sage into a flowing stream or river, and it'll cause a tempest and this great storm or whatever. And let me tell you something. If that were true, there's a lot of mofos in the South that need some damn rain right now. So, some of you guys might want to try that. Just saying. Kramer says we can do it. We can do it. So, had to throw in my little sarcasm there. Because this book does get me good and riled up. But, anyway, yeah. So, basically what the whole point of him rambling and going on about this is he's establishing that it is heresy to not believe in witches. So if you don't agree with him, you're a heretic, basically. And also that witches are evil. So he's using propaganda against witches, to support, his thing. He goes on to use the Bible in support of his arguments. He's, basically he's saying, witches are real, it's not imaginary, it's heresy to believe otherwise, but don't worry, he goes on and he gives all this, all these anecdotes and these stories about what witches do with the devil and what they do to men and all this, and he establishes that most of them are women, and then he goes on to say, don't worry, I have written this book so that you can identify these different kinds of witches when you come across them. And, don't worry, I've got a guideline for how you were supposed to treat each kind of heretic and what kind of punishment their punishment should be and how it should be executed and, all of this. So, basically, he's drumming up fear and then saying, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to take care of this. So, that's basically part 1, question 1. The quick Cliff Notes version, because this will only let me record 10 minutes of video at a time, and I can't see where I'm at, so. But that's basically, that's basically what part 1 is about, question 1 is about. Next video will be over part 1, question 2, and so you guys be looking out for that. If any of you have anything that you want to discuss, with me, you can send me a message, or if you want to start a group discussion, you can leave it in the comments. This is going to be fun. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. Just make sure that you at least put down a page number or something like that, so if other people want to go back and see what you're talking about and interpret it for themselves, they can do that. Anyway, so yay! Looking forward to it. Merry meet, merry part, until we merry meet again. Blessed be.